Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's
Welcome
go.
back, traders. How are we doing? We have an
I like it.
absolute banger today going over GameStop and AMC. I wanted to give another update on the broader market. What's going on with the tariff situation? There's so much craziness happening currently within the markets, but you know how we like to start. Smash the like button, smash the sub button. Let's get into some fear and greed index because that is what tells us the sentiment of the market. Market currently sitting in fear, not surprising at all, as you have some uncertainty floating around the markets right now that we'll get into in just 1 second. Crypto sitting at 7, which is beyond mind numbing. I have no idea how it has got to that point without seeing a macro bounce. But the broader discussion of today is GameStop, AMC, and how does the Supreme Court tariff ruling affect these lovable meme stocks and the overall market, right? I think what you've seen is some uncertainty kind of spill into the market right now, and whether or not the stock market reacts positively, I think in the long-term scheme of things might create some selling pressure. And the reason why is whenever the market is faced with uncertainty, it is often worse than bad news, right? However you want to interpret this news, one thing is that there is already discussions of a backup plan, right? And so this is the kind of uncertainty that can cause stocks to kind of just chop, right? Or swing to the downside. So what I'm watching for is I want to see IWM hold your 50-day moving average on the daily time frame. You've continuously done that. You're actually still above the 9-day EMA, which screams to me that you are in a bullish market still, right? You are still holding market structure, and you actually have an opportunity here to seek a breakout, right? You have the opportunity to seek a breakout and test the all-time high previously, trading within this triangle formation. What I'm banking on is you have currently this downtrend in volume, right? Especially on the the micro time frame. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row with less volume than the previous day. And what this is screaming to me is there's some volume exhaustion here. You're trading with uncertainty. You're trading with a drying up in bullish volume. To me, I think you're going to come back and test this 50, sitting at about 258. But let's say the best case scenario happens, right? You get the volume, you get the buyers, the news steps in, certainty comes back into the market. You can see this gap fill sitting at currently 269.42, and then a push towards the all-time high in IWM once again, guys, as this thing is smashed, all-time high. And now you're trading and consolidating, hopefully before another all-time high, sitting right around, if you were to go for that top threshold trend line, 286.86, or somewhere around there, right? The reason that I'm leaning both ways, right? It's going to go up or down is the meme, but you do have a MACD curling up on the daily time frame that looks very, very sexy, and could be a couple of days before crossing, right? All you really need is a break of this trend line. You're going to get that cross, the gap fill, and then momentum compiles and moves back into the stock, right? Into the index. So that is what we're hoping for GameStop, AMC, NEO, right? You want to see this index fund perform well, because when it does, guys, it becomes so much easier for our lovable meme stocks, GameStop, AMC, NEO, to absolutely find its mark, right? Find its momentum, and to find some find some buyers. Got the work cooked trend line still, which is hilarious to me. But ever since this breakout, right, just taking it from the top, our macro falling wedge has been broken. That is step 1. That is the most beautiful thing that could have happened. Now, we are currently within the next couple of steps, guys. Step 2, in my opinion, is getting a weekly close and a weekly bounce off of the 9-day EMA. That is consolidating. That is confirming the trend bullish. And as you can see here, you actually got a wick off of it and a current hold, right, depending on how today closes, above the 50. Now, that is a beautiful, beautiful sign as the volume, guys, remains piss poor, remains very, very low. So if you can see this thing hold the 50-day EMA, the 9-day EMA, there may not be any need to come back to this 2263 level on the weekly time frame. Now, what is even more bullish? You are holding the daily 200-day EMA. Volume has completely exited the chat. And you can see here that the 50-day EMA, which is just the cream of the crop, right? That is the cherry on top of the whole situation. You have the breakout, the ramp up in volume, decreasing in volume as you consolidate. You have the 50-day EMA curling up, guys. So if you can find a nice size launch off of this 200, right? You close above the 200-day. That is going to be your entire day's goal today, guys. That is going to be one of the most important things that you can do in GameStop year to date, right? Close above this 200, get the 50 curling up, and you will see a golden daily cross, guys. For the first time, truly. You flirted it with it here. You failed to break out and failed to break that key $28 resistance. But what I am watching for, guys, is your first golden cross since this squeeze back in May of 2024, where you saw price go bananas, go ballistic, right? That is what I'm watching for and very patiently waiting to see on GameStop. If you are bullish, if you are going to see the buyer step back in, you need to hold the 200, guys. As you can see, even recently, rejected it there, rejected it there, rejected it there. You broke back above, bounced off, and now you are holding above, guys. If this is a bullish formation, you're going to see that bounce, right? Higher, higher high, higher low, and then you're off to the races, right? You want to see healthy consolidation, but what I am trying to avoid, guys, is this absolutely unavoidable, very noticeable, complex head and shoulders pattern. So let's say you find that bounce, or even you spill over now. There's a very real possibility if you cannot break back above $25 that you are coming back to this trend line, which is not the worst case scenario by any means, but it is a scenario, right? And I think we have to be realistic with ourselves that if this is a head and shoulders pattern, that there is the opportunity that you play this out, fill the gaps, find a retest off of this falling wedge on the macro, and then you go. And I think this all boils down to what is the macro markets looking like, right? What is IWM looking like? IWM, in my opinion, with the consolidation and the MACD, is leaning a little bit more bullish. Even I know we have the gap down here sitting at 20 or 249.09, but I am personally leaning a little bit more bullish because I'm a bull. Hate me for it, right? But I cannot deny that you holding the 200-day EMA here looks very, very healthy, looks very, very bullish. While also taking into account that you should be risk careful, right? You should be acknowledge the risk, not financial advice, but you should be very risk aware on this stock that you could still come down to fill the gap at 21.25, right? And that would not be the worst case scenario for GameStop. That would just be a retest before you freaking spring into these higher price levels that you have the gap fill sitting at $28, $30, and then our all-time price target on GME. If you're able to break above this previous consolidation pattern, right, with resistance upwards of $43, would be our squeezy target sitting at $74, which is our previous all-time gap fill sitting back from June of 2021, which is a very iconic time. Is that all on GME? No, it is not all on GME. Let me take a sip of our beverage. Got to stay caffeinated, motivated, guys. Shout out to everyone who's been given love. Subscribe to the channel, and let's continue the GameStop DD, because there is genuinely, right? Just like we have an uptrend here, which could arguably be three rising valleys, right? One valley, higher high, higher low, higher high. You're now potentially, if you see this spillover, going to get your third higher low before ultimately seeing a third higher high. Now, where that ends, who knows? But I've been charting on the RSI on TradingView, and I did identify a little bit of a bullish falling wedge pattern, and as well as some bullish hidden divergence, right? And what that is when the stock makes a higher low, but the RSI makes a lower low. Now, these falling wedges in the RSI, I absolutely love them because as you can see, guys, as you can see, this was one of the first things that we called out on GME that was truly a hit and run success. And I freaking love to trade the RSI. It is one of my favorite indicators for identifying these swing trades. And as you can see here, you almost have a mock of the previous falling wedge. It's a little bit shorter time frame, but you do have it alongside with your hidden bullish divergence. This is screaming to me that if you can see a bid, if you can see a breakout, that you are going to go on the daily time frame back to overbought, back to the bull zone where you see the most volatility occur. And hopefully you can see that within next week, hopefully early Monday or Tuesday, right? You see a bid come back into the stock and you get back above this RSI band, which acts as support and resistance. So that is what I'm watching for GameStop on TradingView from the RSI standpoint. Looks freaking beautiful. So no worries here for me. I think the biggest thing is just, can you invalidate this micro time frame head and shoulders? Because if you can't, profit target from that breakdown takes you right around 20.75 and either back to the wedge or right on top of it, depending on where you find that bounce, right? So that is GameStop, our girl Jimmy. That's hilarious. Let's get into AMC, right? Because AMC, even though the price action made another all-time low today, you've seen it off of very, very low volume. And although the stock chart looks absolutely abysmal, this stock, and particularly the community within, holds a very special place in my heart. AMC is the first stock that I've ever owned. It's the first stock that got me into the market, and it is the community that got me into trading. So I will always cover AMC. I think regardless of what it's doing, there is a turnaround story here for the stock if you can find the right sequence of events. So we're looking for a bottom on AMC, and you can see here as you get in to this all-time low, you can already see the volume trading down, which is a good sign, right? When previously you've been seeing volume on an uptrend, which on the weekly time frame to me spells that you're not really making your bottom. Unless you close the week green, which you've only done twice in the last 3 months. Genuinely, that's kicking my butt. Genuinely, it's hard to talk about a bottom when your volume is very, very high on the bearish end. So on AMC, you saw this kind of falling wedge formation break down here, and it might be a little bit easier to point out on TradingView. Yep. So on TradingView, we called out this falling wedge. Let's get rid of that. Make it a little bit more clear. So we called out this falling wedge as a bullish reversal pattern because that's exactly what it is, right? It is a bullish reversal pattern on AMC. But what you did here was you fell beneath it, rejected it, had a shooting star candle back-to-back days, which is genuinely really, really bearish. And so I really was not expecting much here after these two candlestick formations. And now you're seeing a little bit of a slice, right, down further. Now, the volume is piss poor. We know that. But what you are coming to on the stock is you're coming to a peak reflection period in which you are testing a previous all-time low trend line that has tapped you out of it, And now you are going to it again. And in fact, you're actually touching it. So this is where like I said yesterday or the day before, whatever I did my last video, time is flying, price for product, right? You're looking at the product that you're getting for this price. Honestly, guys, is not a bad trade, in my opinion. Not financial advice, but you look at 119 for AMC, whereas just a year ago, right, we're talking peak from last year, you're trading at 406 only 271 days ago. Now that is quite the spillover. And when you look at the RSI, guys, on the weekly time frame, the lowest you have been on the RSI without finding a bounce almost ever, right? We're going to go all the way to the peak of this RSI. You're lower than you were back in 2024 when you saw this freaking wicked bounce, right? Roy and Kitty came back into the stock and you went crazy. You're lower than you were, or just about, in 2020, right? When you saw this huge sell-off from 127 all the way down to 10, right? And the RSI is coming to those levels in the weekly time frame. I freaking love this look. And let me tell you why, right? The RSI can only go as far as it can go, right? Before you find an inflection point. And when the stock is this oversold, these bounces out, guys, are so violent. They are crazy when they happen this way. So the fact that you are as low as you are, guys, on AMC is genuinely, for me, promising and genuinely exciting to see that you're this low on price. And let's pull up AMC short interest and the RSI and AMC short interest, although it came down a hair, right, from 27 to 24.44, you're still at a pretty record high short interest of the float. So I remain bullish, guys. I remain bullish on AMC and GameStop, thinking that when one runs, the other is going to run with it. And the fundamentals of GameStop has been so strong and such a fundamental change in the markets, along with IWM making previous back-to-back all-time highs, right? It is a matter of time, in my opinion, before you see these things reverse out of their all-time low, test critical levels, and we will be there to cover them when they do for the stocks. But genuinely, I think a bounce is warranted here on AMC, and anything below $1.10, right, would be insane to me, genuinely insane. So let's cover the warrants before we wrap things up. I just want to say thank you, guys, everyone who's been watching the videos recently. I could pull up, not TikTok. I want to pull up, our YouTube, because every single video has been getting over 1,000 views. We have been absolutely hitting the mark, 80 likes almost every single time. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because everyone who has been here for the ride has known it's been a bumpy road, and we've had so many different faces come in and out. But for the people that remain solid, right? Robert, you're new, but I still love you, man. There's Kyle. There is Only in Paradise. There's Blue Sky, right? There's so many different names that genuinely have been here from the beginning. And I want to say thank you, guys, because none of this is possible without you. So slap the subscribe button if you guys are new, because we do this every other day. Try to do it every day, but life gets in the way sometimes. But the warrants, I remain bullish on. I think you're going to make one more sweeping low here to either this trend line or the 50-day EMA, sitting at 371. But my hypothesis on this is you're making higher lows and higher highs every step of the way. So in my opinion, right, whether or not that low is to the 50, to this trend line, or to the macro trend line, I do believe you're going to make another higher low, right? Higher low comes in, and you do have a gap sitting here at about 320, so be careful of that. But I do believe a higher high comes in next, right? After you see that drawdown in the warrants, that you continue to stair-step this before either something crazy happens, right? And it's a rising wedge, or you break out, right? And you make higher highs. because that is a rising wedge, right? You continue to trade within this pattern. But for now, I remain bullish. I think as you get towards the upper half of the wedge, I would say definitely proceed with caution, because these things typically, guys, typically break down, and your profit target would be the length of the first drawdown of this wedge, right? So let's say you break down from here, your profit target is 264, which in my opinion would just be a fantastic opportunity, but do with that what you may. The warrants are at 420. We're having a great time. So God bless each and every single one of you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And remember, guys, the best is yet to come. Let's go. Merch is out. It's beautiful. I keep doing the wrong side. It's beautiful, guys. It's comfortable. Make sure to get some. Peace.